The great hall of the United Earth building was full of noise and color. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy had come to Earth for the first time. Some had 4 arms. Some had scales that shined like diamonds. Some floated above the ground because they had no legs at all. It was the first galactic summit on Earth, and everyone was nervous. Wu stood near the back of the hall with a glass of water in his hand. He was a junior diplomat, only 28 years old, and he had no idea why they had invited him to this event. Around him, senior officials from every country on Earth walked carefully between the alien guests. They smiled. They bowed. They tried very hard not to stare. "This is crazy," said, stepping beside Wu, was his best friend from university. They had joined the diplomatic service together, and somehow they had both ended up here, at the biggest event in human history. "I know," Wu said. "I keep thinking I will wake up." "Look at that one," whispered, pointing across the room. "The tall one with the silver skin." Wu looked. Near the center of the hall stood a woman. At least she looked like a woman. She was almost 2 meters tall, with skin that looked like polished metal. Her hair was white and fell to her waist. Her eyes were a deep purple color, and they seemed to glow in the bright lights of the hall. She wore a long dress that was darker than the night sky. "That is the ambassador," Wu said quietly. "Her name is, I read about her in the briefing files." "She looks terrifying," said. Wu nodded. They were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They were known for being cold, logical, and very powerful. No one had ever seen a smile. They did not make jokes. They did not show emotion. Other species were afraid of them. Stood alone. Other aliens walked around her, but no one approached her. Even the human diplomats kept their distance. She held a glass of something blue, but she did not drink it. She just stood there, watching everything with her glowing purple eyes. "Poor thing," said suddenly. "What?" Wu looked at his friend. "She is alone. Everyone is afraid of her. That must be lonely." Wu looked at again. Was right. Despite her power and beauty, she stood by herself like a statue in an empty museum. "Someone should talk to her," said. "Then you go," Wu replied. "No way, I would probably faint," laughed nervously. Then his eyes became bright with a dangerous idea. "But you could go." "Me, are you joking?" "Come on, Wu. You are always the brave one. Remember when you talked to that angry professor in university? You saved our whole class." "That was different. He was human." Smiled. It was the smile he always made before doing something stupid. "I dare you." "What?" "I dare you to go talk to her. And not just talk. I dare you to say something crazy. Something so bold that it will make everyone look." Wu felt his heart beat faster. "You are insane." "Maybe, but think about it. This is a historic moment. Humans meeting aliens for the first time. Someone needs to show that we are not afraid. Someone needs to be human." "And what should I say? Hello, nice weather on Earth today." Leaned closer. His eyes were shining with mischief. "Propose to her." Wu almost dropped his glass. "What?" "Propose a marriage alliance. Like in the old days when kings and queens married to join their kingdoms. Tell her you want to unite humanity and through marriage." "That is the idea you have ever had." "Exactly. It is so stupid that it is perfect. She will just ignore you. Do not understand jokes. You will walk away and we will have a funny story to tell forever. But at least you will have tried. At least you will have shown that humans are brave enough to approach them." Wu looked at again. She was beautiful in a frightening way, like a storm or a mountain or the deep ocean. Something inside him wanted to know what her voice sounded like. "If I do this," he said slowly, "you will pay for my drinks for a whole year." "Deal," said immediately. "But you have to actually say it. You cannot just say hello and run away." Wu took a deep breath. This was insane. This was absolutely crazy. But the galaxy was watching, and he was tired of standing in the corner like a scared child. He started walking toward. The distance was not far, but it felt like 1,000 kilometers. Each step was heavy. He could feel people watching him, other humans, other aliens. They all turned to see the young man walking toward the ambassador. Noticed him when he was 5 meters away. Her purple eyes locked onto him like weapons. Wu felt cold. His legs wanted to stop, but he forced them to keep moving. Finally, he stood in front of her. She was even taller up close. Her silver skin reflected his face. He looked small and afraid in her eyes. "Ambassador," he said. His voice came out stronger than he expected. "My name is Wu. I am a representative of Earth." "I know what you are," she said. Her voice was like music played on ice, cold but beautiful. "You are human." "Yes," he swallowed hard. "I have come to make a proposal." One of her eyebrows rose slightly. Around them, people had stopped talking. They were all watching now. "In the spirit of peace and unity between our worlds," Wu continued, "I propose a marriage alliance between humanity and—" Silence fell over the entire hall, complete silence. Wu could hear his own heartbeat. Then spoke. "I accept." Wu blinked. "I am sorry, what?" "I accept your proposal," said calmly. "Verbal proposals are sacred and binding. You have offered yourself and I have accepted. We are now promised to each other." The glass fell from Wu's hand and shattered on the floor. Behind him, he heard make a choking sound. "Wait," Wu said. I did not know." "The contract is sealed," said. For the first time, something moved in her purple eyes. Was it amusement? "I look forward to our union, human." Every person in the hall was staring at Wu now. Human diplomats had their mouths open. Alien ambassadors were whispering to each other. Somewhere, a camera was flashing. Wu's mind went completely blank. What had he just done? The next 3 hours were the worst of Wu's life. First, security officers took him to a small room on the 5th floor. Then came the senior diplomats. Then came the government officials. Then came people he had never seen before, with very serious faces and very dark suits. They all asked him the same question. "What were you thinking?" Wu sat in a metal chair and stared at the floor. He did not have an answer. He had not been thinking at all. He had been trying to be brave, trying to make a joke, trying to show that humans were not afraid. Now he had accidentally created an interstellar incident. "This is a disaster," said Minister. She was the head of Earth's diplomatic service, and she looked like she wanted to throw Wu out of a window. "Do you understand what you have done? They take verbal contracts very seriously. They have fought wars over broken promises." "I did not know," Wu whispered. "You did not read the briefing materials." "I did, but there was nothing about marriage contracts." Minister closed her eyes and pressed her fingers against her forehead. Because no one thought any human would be stupid enough to propose to an ambassador in public. The door opened and was pushed inside by 2 guards. His face was pale, and he looked even more terrified than Wu. "It was my fault," said immediately. "I dared him to do it. I thought it would be funny. I never imagined she would say yes." Minister looked at like he was an insect. "Both of you are suspended. Go home. Do not talk to anyone. Do not answer any calls from the media. We will contact you when we decide what to do." Wu and left the building through a back door. Outside, the night air was cold and clean. Neither of them spoke for a long time. "I am sorry," finally said. "I know. I really did not think." "I know." They walked in silence through the empty streets. The city was quiet. Most people were inside, watching news reports about the summit. Soon, everyone would know what Wu had done. "What will happen now?" asked. "I do not know. Maybe they will send me to prison. Maybe they will declare war. Maybe I will just disappear and no one will ever see me again." "That is not going to happen." "How do you know?" Did not answer. 3 days passed. Wu stayed in his small apartment and watched the news. Every channel was talking about him. They showed his picture. They showed the video of his proposal. They showed saying, "I accept," over and over again. Some people called him a fool. Others called him a hero. A few called him the bravest human alive. Most just called him crazy. On the fourth day, someone knocked on his door. Wu opened it and found two guards standing in the hallway. They were tall and silver-like, but their faces were hard and cold. "You will come with us," one of them said. "Am I being arrested?" "The ambassador wishes to speak with you." Wu followed them outside, where a strange vehicle was waiting. It was silver and smooth, with no wheels or wings that he could see. He climbed inside and sat on a seat that was surprisingly comfortable. The vehicle rose into the air and flew toward the ocean. After 30 minutes, Wu saw the ship. It was massive, floating above the water like a metal island. It was shaped like a crescent moon, and its surface glowed with soft blue light. They landed on a platform and walked through long corridors. Everything was clean and silent. Wu saw others, but they did not look at him. They moved past like ghosts. Finally, they reached a large room with a window that showed the stars. Was standing there, looking out at the darkness. "Leave us," she said to the guards. They left without a word. Wu stood in the middle of the room, unsure what to do. His heart was beating fast, but not from fear this time. He was strangely calm. "You are afraid," said. She did not turn around. "A little." "Good, fear is intelligent, it keeps you alive." She finally turned to face him. Her purple eyes studied him carefully. "Do you know why I accepted your proposal?" "No, I have been trying to understand for 3 days." Walked toward him slowly. Each step was graceful and precise, like a dancer or a predator. "I have lived for 200 of your years. I have met thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds. Do you know what they all had in common?" Wu shook his head. "They were all afraid of me. They smiled and bowed and said polite words, but inside they were terrified. They saw my power, my species' history, our weapons and our ships. They never saw me." She stopped in front of him. They were close now, close enough that he could see the tiny patterns in her silver skin. "But you," she continued, "you walked up to me like I was just another person. Your heart was beating fast, yes. Your hands were shaking, but you still came, you still spoke, and you said the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard." "It was a joke," Wu admitted. "I did not think you would take it seriously." "I know it was a joke. We are not as cold as everyone believes. We understand humor, but we also understand something else." She tilted her head slightly. "Beneath your joke there was truth. You were reaching out. You were trying to connect, not for politics, not for power, just because you did not want me to be alone." Wu was silent. She was right. Somewhere in his mind, between the fear and the dare and the alcohol, he had felt sorry for her. He had wanted to make her smile. "That is why I accepted," said. "Not because of your words, but because of your heart. For 200 years, no one has approached me without wanting something. But you wanted nothing except to make a connection. That is rare. That is precious." "So what happens now?" "Now we talk. We learn about each other. A promise cannot be broken, but it can be adjusted. If you truly do not wish to be joined with me, I will find a way to release you. It will take time, but it can be done." Wu thought about her words. He thought about the past 3 days. He thought about the way everyone looked at her with fear. "What if I do not want to be released?" His eyes widened slightly. It was the first genuine expression he had seen on her face. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe this was not just a joke. Maybe fate put me in that room for a reason. Maybe I was supposed to walk up to you. Maybe we are supposed to learn from each other." For a long moment did not speak. Then, slowly, something changed in her face. It was not quite a smile, but it was close. It was the beginning of warmth. "You are a very strange human," she said. "I have been told that before. I think I like it." Outside the window, the stars shone bright and endless. Somewhere down below, Earth was full of people waiting to see what would happen next. Wu took a deep breath. Then let us start again. Hello, my name is Wu. I would like to know you better. Looked at his outstretched hand. In culture, touching was very personal, very intimate, but she reached out and took his hand anyway. Hello, Wu, I am, and I think I would like that very much. Their hands stayed connected for a long moment. Two worlds, two species, two hearts beginning to understand each other. Maybe this accident would become something beautiful after all. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. A human had proposed to her, and she had said yes. On Earth, people did not know how to react. Some were angry. They said Wu had embarrassed all of humanity in front of the entire galaxy. Others were excited. They said this could be the beginning of a new era of peace and cooperation. The media talked about nothing else for weeks. The reaction was different. The High Council met in their ancient chamber and discussed the situation for 3 days. Some wanted to cancel the agreement. They said it was improper for their ambassador to join with a primitive species. Others argued that a promise was a promise, and breaking it would damage their honor forever. In the end, they decided to wait and see. The contract was valid. What happened next would depend on Wu. Meanwhile, on the ship floating above Earth's ocean, Wu was learning things he never expected to learn. He had been given a room on the ship. It was small but comfortable, with a window that showed the sea below. Every morning he woke up and met for what she called cultural exchange. In reality, it was just talking. They sat together and talked about everything. Told him about. It was a cold planet with 2 suns and no oceans. Her people had lived there for millions of years. They had built great cities and explored distant stars. They had survived wars and plagues and disasters that would have destroyed other species. We learned to hide our emotions, she explained one afternoon. They were sitting in a garden room filled with strange plants from different worlds. Showing weakness meant death. Showing fear meant failure. So we became like stone, cold outside but alive inside. That sounds lonely, Wu said. It is, but it is also safe. Is that why other species are afraid of you? Because they cannot read your emotions. Nodded slowly. They see our faces and see nothing. No anger, no joy, no sadness. They think we have no souls, but we feel everything, Wu. We just do not show it. You are showing me. She looked at him with her purple eyes. Yes, I do not know why. Something about you makes me want to be honest. As the days passed, Wu told her about Earth. He told her about his childhood in a small town near the mountains. He told her about his parents who were teachers. He told her about his foolish friend who had started all of this. He sounds like a good person, said. Stupid but good. Wu laughed. He is. I should not be angry at him. If he had not dared me, I would never have met you. Do you regret meeting me? No, not at all. Almost smiled. It was becoming easier for her to show emotion around him. Her face was still mostly calm, but small things changed. Her eyes became warmer. Her voice became softer. She was slowly melting like ice in spring. Back on Earth, was dealing with his own problems. He had been questioned by every government agency in the world. His picture was everywhere. Some people blamed him for the incident. Others thanked him for creating what they called the most romantic story in galactic history. One evening, called Wu, using a special communication device that had given them. Are you okay? Asked. His face looked tired on the screen. I am fine. Actually, I am more than fine. Really? You are living on an alien ship with a species that terrifies the entire galaxy, and you are fine. She is not terrifying, she is just different. Once you get past the silver skin and the glowing eyes, she is actually very kind. Stared at him through the screen. Oh no, you like her, you actually like her. Wu felt his face become warm. I do not know what you mean. Yes, you do. I know that look. I saw that look when you had a crush on that girl in university. You are falling for the alien ambassador." "That is ridiculous." "Is it? Tell me honestly. When you look at her, what do you feel?" Wu was quiet for a moment. He thought about. He thought about her voice and her eyes and the way she listened to him like every word mattered. He thought about how lonely she must have been for 200 years, surrounded by fear and suspicion. "I feel like I want to protect her," he finally said. "I know she is stronger than me. I know she could probably destroy a building with her hands, but I still want to make sure she is happy. I want to see her smile, a real smile." Sigh deeply. "You are in trouble, my friend." "I know." The next day, something unexpected happened. Minister came to the ship. She brought gifts and formal apologies and a request for a proper meeting with. Wu watched the meeting from the side of the room. Minister was nervous. Her hands shook slightly when she presented the gifts, but was gracious. She accepted everything with calm dignity. "I understand there has been confusion," said. "Your people did not expect this situation. Neither did mine. But I believe we can turn this accident into an opportunity." "An opportunity," Minister repeated. "Humanity and have never been close. Your species is young and full of energy. My species is old and tired. Perhaps we can learn from each other. Perhaps this unusual engagement can be the bridge between our worlds." Minister looked at Wu. He saw something change in her eyes. She was starting to understand. "You are not angry," she said too. "You are actually pleased about this." "I am. For the first time in many years, I feel hope. Your young diplomat showed me something I had forgotten. He showed me that connection is possible, that not everyone in the galaxy is motivated by fear and greed." Minister was silent for a long moment. Then she did something surprising. She bowed deeply too. "On behalf of Earth, I apologize for our confusion and our fear. We would be honored to build a relationship with, not because of politics or power, but because it is the right thing to do." Stood and walked to Minister. She took the human woman's hand gently. "Then let us begin, together." That evening, Wu and stood on the observation deck, watching the sunset over the ocean. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink and gold. "Thank you," said quietly. "For what?" "For being brave, for being foolish, for seeing me when no one else did." Wu turned to look at her. In the sunset light, her silver skin glowed with warm colors. She was beautiful in a way he had never noticed before. "You are welcome," he said, "but I should thank you too. You could have rejected me, you could have made me look foolish, but you did not." "No, I took a chance, and I think it was the best decision I have made in a very long time." They stood together in silence, watching the last light of the sun disappear below the horizon. Around them, the stars began to appear, one by one, like distant promises of things to come. Something was changing, something was beginning, and neither of them wanted it to stop. 3 months passed since the night of the proposal. Wu had returned to Earth, but he visited the ship often. Sometimes he stayed for days, sometimes only for hours, but he always came back and was always waiting for him. The galaxy was still talking about them. News channels called them the impossible couple. Some reporters said it was all fake, a political trick. Others believed it was real. The truth was somewhere in the middle. It had started as a joke, but it had become something much more. One evening took Wu to a part of the ship he had never seen before. It was deep inside, far from the windows and the light. The corridors were dark and silent. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To a place I have never shown anyone." They stopped in front of a large door, pressed her hand against it, and it opened slowly. Inside was a room filled with soft blue light. On the walls were hundreds of pictures and objects and memories. "This is my private chamber," said. "This is where I keep everything that matters to me." Wu walked around the room slowly. He saw pictures of strange worlds and alien faces. He saw weapons that looked ancient and beautiful. He saw crystals that glowed with inner fire and books written in languages he could not read. But in the center of the room, on a small table, was something simple, a dried flower pressed between two pieces of glass. "What is this?" he asked. Stood beside him, her voice was soft. "That is from my home, from the garden outside my family's house. I picked it the day I left to become an ambassador. That was 150 years ago." "You have not been home in 150 years. "No, ambassadors serve until they are no longer needed. I have traveled to hundreds of worlds. I have met millions of beings, but I have not seen my home since I was young." Wu felt something heavy in his chest. "Do you miss it?" "Every day, but duty is more important than personal feelings. At least that is what I was taught." She walked to the window, even though there was no window in this room. Old habit, perhaps, or maybe she was just avoiding his eyes. "I was chosen for this role because I was good at hiding," she continued. "I could stand in rooms full of enemies and show nothing. I could negotiate with monsters and never feel afraid. They called me the Stone Ambassador. They meant it as a compliment." "But it was not, was it?" "No, it was a prison made of my own face." Wu walked to her side. He did not touch her, but he stood close enough that she could feel his warmth. "You do not have to hide with me," he said. "You know that, right?" Turned to look at him. Her purple eyes were shining with something he had never seen before. It took him a moment to realize what it was. "Tears." "I do not know how to stop," she whispered. "I have been hiding for so long. I have forgotten what it feels like to be real." Without thinking, Wu reached out and took her hand. Her silver skin was cool but soft. She did not pull away. "Then let me help you," he said. "Show me one thing, one real emotion. It does not have to be big, it can be small. Just let me see the real you." Was silent for a long moment. Then slowly something changed in her face. The mask cracked, the stone crumbled, and underneath was a woman who had been alone for far too long. She smiled. It was not a big smile. It was small and uncertain, like a flower just beginning to bloom, but it was real. It was the first real smile she had shown in decades. "There you are," Wu said softly. "There is the real." "I feel strange," she said. "Light, like something heavy has been lifted from my shoulders." "That is called relief. It happens when you stop carrying a burden alone." They stood together in the blue light, holding hands, saying nothing. Words were not needed. Something had shifted between them. A wall had fallen. A bridge had been built. Later that night, they sat on the observation deck and watched Earth turn slowly below them. The planet looked peaceful from space, blue and green and white, like a jewel floating in the darkness. "Your world is beautiful," said. "It is, but it is also broken in many ways. We fight each other. We hurt each other. We destroy the very planet that gives us life. All species do that. It is part of being alive." "Do fight each other." Was quiet for a moment. "We did, long ago. We had wars that lasted thousands of years. Millions died. Whole cities were destroyed. That is why we learned to control our emotions. We were afraid of what we might do if we let ourselves feel. But hiding your feelings did not stop the pain. It just pushed it deep inside." "Yes, you understand better than most." Wu leaned back in his chair and looked at the stars. "I used to think humans were the only ones who struggled with their emotions. I thought other species had figured it out, that they were more advanced than us. No one has figured it out. Some just hide it better than others. Then maybe that is what humans can offer the galaxy. Not technology, not weapons, just honesty, the courage to feel things and show them." Turned to look at him. Her eyes were warm now, not cold. "You really believe that?" "I do. Look at what happened between us. I made a stupid joke because I was too honest to be careful. You accepted because you were tired of everyone being afraid of you. And now here we are. Two people from different worlds actually understanding each other. Because of honesty. Because of honesty. Reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were gentle against his skin. You have changed me, Wu. In 3 months, you have done what no one could do in 200 years. You have made me feel again. And you have changed me. You have shown me that the galaxy is not as scary as I thought. That connection is possible, even between strangers. We are not strangers anymore. No, we are not. She leaned forward slowly. He did not move away. Their foreheads touched, and they stayed like that for a long time. In culture, whispered, this is how we show deep affection. It is called the joining of minds. What does it mean? It means I trust you completely, with everything I am. Wu felt something warm spread through his chest. It was happiness, pure and simple happiness. I trust you too, he said. I did not expect this. I did not plan for this, but I am glad it happened. So am I. Outside the window, Earth continued to turn. Somewhere down there, billions of people were living their lives, unaware of the small miracle happening above them. Two hearts from two different worlds had found each other. And that was just the beginning. The day of the closing ceremony arrived. The Galactic Summit had lasted 6 months. Representatives from 200 worlds had come to Earth to discuss trade, peace, and cooperation. Many agreements had been signed. Many friendships had been formed. But everyone knew that the biggest story was not about politics. It was about Wu and... The closing ceremony was held in the same great hall where everything had started. Thousands of beings filled the room. Cameras from every world in the galaxy were pointed at the stage. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. Wu stood backstage with. His hands were shaking slightly, and his heart was beating fast. Are you sure about this? Asked. Yes. Because you do not have to do it. They found a way to cancel the contract. You can walk away and no one will blame you. Wu looked at his friend. I know, that is exactly why I have to do this. I do not understand. 6 months ago, I made a proposal as a joke. Everyone expected me to take it back. Everyone expected me to apologize and forget. But I do not want to forget. I do not want to apologize. What started as a joke became real to me. Stared at him for a long moment. Then he started to laugh. You love her. You actually love the alien ambassador. This is insane. Yes, it is completely insane, but it is also true. Stopped laughing and put his hand on Wu's shoulder. Then go out there and tell the galaxy, I will be cheering for you. Thank you for everything, even for the stupid dare. Especially for the stupid dare. They hugged briefly, and then Wu walked toward the stage. The crowd fell silent as he appeared. All eyes turned to the young human diplomat who had accidentally changed the course of history. He looked small on the large stage, but his eyes were calm and determined. Good afternoon, Wu began. His voice echoed through the hall. 6 months ago, I stood in this room and made a proposal. It was supposed to be a joke, a moment of foolish bravery that everyone would forget. He paused and looked around the room. He saw human faces and alien faces. He saw fear and curiosity and hope. But something unexpected happened. Ambassador of accepted my proposal. At first, I was terrified. I thought I had made the worst mistake of my life. I thought I had embarrassed myself and my entire species. He took a deep breath. I was wrong. The crowd stirred with whispers. Wu continued. Over the past 6 months I have come to know, not as the frightening ambassador that everyone fears, not as the cold, emotionless stone ambassador, but as a person, a real person with hopes and fears and dreams. He turned to look at the side of the stage, was standing there, watching him with her purple eyes. She was wearing a dress that shone like starlight and she was beautiful. I learned that she has been lonely for 200 years. I learned that her species is not cold because they do not feel, but because they are afraid of feeling too much. I learned that beneath her silver skin is a heart that beats just like mine. He walked toward her slowly. The council has offered to cancel our contract. They said I could walk away without consequences. They gave me a choice. He stopped in front of and took her hands in his. I choose to stay. The crowd gasped. Cameras flashed from every direction. Whispers became shouts of surprise. I choose to honor my proposal, Wu continued, looking into his eyes. Not because I have to, not because of politics or power or duty, but because I want to. Because in these 6 months I have fallen in love with you. His eyes widened. Something glistened in them. Tears, perhaps, though no one had ever seen a cry in public. In my culture, Wu said, we have a tradition. When someone proposes, they give a ring. I do not have a ring made of metal, but I have something else. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small flower. It was from Earth, a simple yellow flower that grew in fields and gardens. Nothing special, nothing expensive. This is a sunflower. On Earth, it means loyalty and adoration. It means that I will always turn toward you like the flower turns toward the sun. It means that wherever you go, I will follow. He offered the flower too. The entire hall was silent. No one moved, no one breathed. Slowly reached out and took the flower. She held it gently, like it was the most precious thing in the universe. And then she smiled. Not a small smile, not a hidden smile, a real, full, beautiful smile that lit up her entire face. The stone ambassador was gone. In her place stood a woman who was happy. I accept, she said, again. The crowd erupted. Cheers and applause filled the hall. Beings from hundreds of worlds were clapping and shouting. Some were crying. Even in the audience looked moved, though they tried to hide it. Leaned close to Wu and spoke softly, only for him. You have given me something I thought I had lost forever. What is that? Hope, a reason to feel, a reason to live beyond duty. Wu smiled and touched his forehead to hers, the gesture of deep trust. You have given me the same, he whispered. You have shown me that the galaxy is full of wonders, that love has no boundaries, that a stupid joke can become the most important moment of my life. They stood together on the stage, foreheads touching, hands joined. Around them, the galaxy watched in amazement. This was not what anyone had expected. A human and a joke and an acceptance, fear becoming friendship, friendship becoming love. But that was what made it perfect. Weeks later, the news of their official joining ceremony was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. It was not a human wedding or a ritual. It was something new, something that combined both cultures into something beautiful. Wu wore a traditional Korean hanbok, modified with silver patterns that matched skin, wore a ceremonial robe, decorated with flowers from Earth. They exchanged vows in both languages, promising to learn from each other, to protect each other, to love each other until the stars went dark. Was the best man. He cried through the entire ceremony. Minister officiated. She had changed her opinion of Wu completely. Now she called him the bravest diplomat in human history. Representatives from 200 worlds attended. Some still did not understand. Some thought it was strange or wrong, but most of them saw something they had never seen before, proof that connection was possible, proof that the walls between species could fall, proof that love was universal. At the end of the ceremony, Wu stood before the crowd. This is only the beginning, Wu said. One human and one is not going to change the galaxy, but it is a start. It is proof that understanding is possible, that we can look past our differences and see each other as people. Nodded, my species has forgotten how to hope, but this human reminded me. He showed me that courage is not about hiding your feelings. It is about sharing them even when you are afraid. That is what humans can teach the galaxy. That is why they matter. The crowd applauded, the cameras recorded, the moment became history. And in the center of it all, Wu looked at and smiled. "Are you ready for the next adventure?" he asked. She smiled back, her purple eyes full of warmth. "With you, always." Hand in hand, they walked into the future. A joke had become a promise had become love, and love had become a bridge between stars. That was the human way, and the galaxy was finally starting to understand.